Get him to cover!
In today's scenario, we're going to go over when to use a tourniquet. Right now, what our scenario is Braden here has been shot. So this is a gunshot wound, but we're still under fire. We've taken him, we returned fire, and we drug him back to concealment and some cover. That's the most important thing to do. When there's an injury and you are still under fire, or you're still in danger or in a firefight, the first thing you do is always return fire. Return fire, then get yourself and the patient to cover or concealment. So that's what we've done. We're now here in this concealment. We have his wound, and we're going to begin treating. So what we're going to do is apply a tourniquet. You are only allowed to stop major hemorrhaging or apply a tourniquet during a firefight. Once we have the tourniquet on, we can work on getting him to safety, and that's when we can worry about treating the wound better or more. It's important to note that during Z-Day or any combat situation, every individual needs to have their own IFAK, which is Individual First Aid Kit. When a person is injured, you need to use their first aid kit. You need to use their equipment. Because if I use my personal equipment and then he gets taken off, he has now taken his IFAK and part of mine. So now we're going to go over how to apply a tourniquet. The rule of thumb is you need to place the tourniquet 2 to 4 inches above the wound. But many medics today will tell you to just go ahead, if it's on the lower wound, to not put the tourniquet anywhere on the lower limb, lower limb, and apply it just to the upper leg. There's only one bone in the upper leg instead of 2, which are in the lower, so you can get a tighter cinch and pinch that artery down better. So because this is so close to the knee, and it's on the lower leg, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and just apply the tourniquet on the upper leg. So we have his own tourniquet, which is a cat tourniquet. We're going to go ahead and open that up. You slide it under, and because it's on the leg, you're going to put it through both of these loops right here. On the arm, it is okay just to put it through one, but the leg, we need to have it a bit tighter, so we're going to put it through both. Now, one mistake that people do when putting on a tourniquet is they go ahead and leave it loose and just hope that the windlass is going to tighten enough. It's important to tighten the tourniquet as much as you can without the windlass. The windlass is only going to provide about 2 inches of tightening space. So if you leave this tourniquet loose, you only have 2 inches to work with, and it's not going to pinch off an artery. So go ahead and tighten it as much as you can without using the windlass. And you go ahead and wrap it around. This is all Velcro. Now, right here is the windlass. This right here says time. You're going to go ahead and write with the Sharpie what time you put the tourniquet on, so that hopefully you'll be able to have a doctor in Z-Day, but if not, you'll know how much time has gone by, so you can prevent any limb damage from going on, which we'll talk about later. Here's the windlass. You go ahead and turn it until you can't turn it anymore. Once you've reached that point, you drop it into these brackets right here. You put the Velcro over top of it. You write down the time. You make sure that there's no blood coming out. There's no pulsating blood, because if it's an artery, blood will be pulsating out. There are a couple of places you can check on the top of the foot to see if there's a pulse going out, but we won't go over those today. And that is how you put a tourniquet on. Right now we're going to go over the soft tourniquet, which is an acronym, SOFTT. Many medics in the military today prefer this over the standard issue tourniquet, which is the one we just looked at, the cat tourniquet. And the reason is because the windlass is made of metal, and it's a screw that holds down the strap instead of Velcro. The only downside is the actual strap is thinner than the cat. And you want your strap to be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide. But because of how sturdy it is and how much better it holds, this is the preferred tourniquet for medics today. We're going to go ahead and teach you how to do it on the arm. You notice that on the leg, I didn't have a loop pre-made. I just slid it under his leg because it's a lot more awkward to drop it over the foot and have to ride it all the way up to his thigh. But on the arm, it's a lot simpler, so you can go ahead and start with the loop. We start with the loop. Remember, because it's on the lower limb where there's these 2 bones, it's going to be harder to get a good pinch on that artery. It can be done. but because it's so close to the joint, we're going to go ahead and go 2 inches above the joint on the widest part of his arm. There's a screw right here. You're going to unscrew it so it's not pushing down on the strap. You're going to push down on the screw so it opens up this clamp, and once again, just like with all tourniquets, you're going to tighten it as much as you can without using the windlass. Once it's secure, you're going to go ahead and grab your windlass, and you're going to start twisting until you can twist no more. Now there are 2 triangles right here. You don't have to get the windlass into both of them. You just have to be able to get it into one of them. And that's going to prevent the windlass from turning back. Once it's secure, you tighten down the screw. You could also tighten down the screw earlier just so that nothing moves. Okay? And now remember, you can check the pulse to make sure that no blood's getting through the artery. You can look at the wound to make sure that blood isn't pulsating out. And that is how you put a tourniquet on the arm. Some last things I'd like to talk about tourniquets is there's been a lot of negative talk in the past about tourniquets. It's important to know that research has now shown that you can use a tourniquet with almost no risk of losing the leg unless the initial injury is what will cause the loss of a limb. In fact, there is no damage done to the leg until 111 minutes, is what they're currently teaching in the military. It's 111. There's been some research that shows that it can go even longer than that. So remember, a tourniquet is to be used while under fire, or when you need to get out of someplace quickly, or stop bleeding quickly, or you can't stop bleeding by simply pressure or packing a wound. Those are all reasons to use a tourniquet. Don't be scared to use a tourniquet when you know it's the right thing to do. Some side notes: never tourniquet the trunk, never tourniquet the neck. I know this sounds obvious, but we all know somebody that would probably do it. The last thing I'd like to mention is that just remember that a tourniquet is not a cure. It's not the end-all for first aid. It's just to get you to where you can receive better medical treatment, whether that's a doctor, or whoever your medic's going to be during Zombie Day. Thanks for watching. Saw your air pro in?
Do people ever fart in battle?
Yes.
I'll tell you why I'm wondering. Hold on.